God didn't send him. Trauma did. Let me share a real life story with permission. I once worked with a woman, beautiful, resourceful, gifted, and she had such deep love for God and a deep sense for partnership. She kept getting involved with men who were emotionally distant but spiritually polished. Men who would pray with her on Monday and then ghost her on Friday. Oh, she clung to hope. She fasted and believed that he would come around. But every time he disappeared, she blamed herself. She said things like, maybe I'm not patient enough. Maybe this is just a wilderness season. And when we processed it together, we realized this wasn't about that man at all. It was about her father, a man who was a pillar in church, but emotionally unavailable at home. And this wasn't a new pain, this was old pain wearing a new face. And once she did the healing work, she stopped calling it God's process. Because it wasn't. It was trauma on repetition. It was her inner child saying, maybe this time I'm going to be good enough and someone will stay. Now let's come to you and this new guy you're recently starting to date. You were right all along. Something felt off, didn't it? Maybe you couldn't explain it. Maybe your friends didn't say it. Maybe even your pastor told you to keep praying and be patient. But something in your spirit kept whispering, this doesn't feel like love. And I get it because I see a lot of it in my work. Everyone told you you look good together, so you thought he was an answer to your prayer. You saw the scriptures he posted on his Facebook. You heard the prayers he prayed. And you told yourself, God sent him. But now you know the truth. It wasn't divine alignment. It was trauma familiarity. It was your unhealed pain trying to feel safe, even if it wasn't actually safe. So let's talk about what happens when we call trauma God. When you're waiting for a husband, you're not seeking a man who constantly triggers your anxiety by violating or ignoring your boundaries or making you feel like you were too inquisitive. When you ask very valid questions, he dismisses it, especially about his past and relationships. He says you're too emotional, that you're too needy. And when he ghosts you or doesn't show up as discussed, he says you're too clingy. And you're certainly not waiting for one who is just enough to keep you hopeful and not never enough to feel secure. That's not God's love. That's trauma disguised as destiny. Let me explain. Trauma doesn't always show up as pain. I see this a lot. Sometimes it shows up as what feels familiar, what your nervous system was trained to expect. If you were raised in a home or community where love felt inconsistent, where you had no voice, or you shrink to feel accepted, or where overworking, criticism, or emotional distancing was normal, then as an adult, your body might confuse emotional chaos for chemistry. Your heart says, he's exciting, but your nervous system is saying, he reminds me of the person who never saw me. And here's the truth. Most people don't talk about it. Trauma doesn't just make you tolerate red flags. It actually trains you to chase them. Because to the unhealed part of you, dysfunction doesn't feel wrong. It feels familiar. It feels like home, even if it hurts. Sometimes God will lead you through quiet seasons in life so that he can speak to your inner self and your nervous system. He will intentionally orchestrate situations that will feel quiet, that are not dramatic, so he can speak tenderly to your heart, like a good father should. Sometimes this wilderness season is not punishment. In fact, if you observe carefully, every time your peace has been invaded or disrupted by divine strategy, you'll find that you have entered into a season of peace. It's intentional, so you can get a good break. It's actually a protection, and it helps you to reset. God will lead you away from what feels familiar to speak tenderly to your heart, especially as a woman, to say you don't need to perform to be loved. You don't need to earn what I already have given you. You don't have to stay in cycles I never called you to. Another story that comes to mind for me is that of Jacob. You know how Jacob loved Rachel and he was tricked into marrying Leah, and then he worked 7 more years finally to receive the love he desired. Let me ask you, are you laboring for love? Are you emotionally exhausted from trying to be enough for someone who wasn't even assigned to you? God never asked you to work for love. He asked you to receive his love first so you don't and you stop settling for less. And I know this isn't just about one man or one relationship. This is about a deep desire that's been there since you were a little girl, to feel chosen, to feel safe, to feel loved without having to fight for it. Let me say what I know your heart wants actually. You want a relationship where you're seen, you're chosen, emotionally safe, where you feel confident setting boundaries without fear of being abandoned, and instead you are rewarded and pampered. And so you want to stop mistaking anxiety for attraction. You want to stop choosing from a place of, you want to start choosing from a whole place of wholeness, actually, and peace, not from the wounds. You want to wait in peace and not in panic. You want to recognize God's voice over the urge to feel alone. So if you're ready to break this pattern, here's some recommendations I'll make for you. I'm going to give you this for free. You've got to name the pattern you're experiencing. All right. When you're dating, check with your heart. Who does this person remind you of? And if you feel you need to pause the chase, pause. If your nervous system feels dysregulated around them, take a step back. One more thing, do the inner work. No one is assigned for you to do it. Not even your future husband will do the inner work for you. So if you need to go for therapy, you need to go for coaching, you need to go in and do the inner healing work for yourself. God will start sending positive models your way and godly, healthy people who are happy to support you. Don't spiritualize dysfunction. If it robs you your peace, if it manipulates your hope, or it silences your voice, that is not God. In conclusion, God may not have sent him, but God will use the lesson to redirect you toward a safer, secure, sacred love, the kind that doesn't cost you your peace. All right, if this speaks to you, don't just sit with it. Let's work it out. If this speaks to you again and you need support, you can send me an email and we can get started. Meanwhile, please subscribe, like, and leave some comments so that other people can be blessed with this content. You can also send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect with you. You are not damaged. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are healing. And healing will change who you choose, what you tolerate, and how peacefully you walk in the love that God always intended for you. With love. So before you go, stay beautiful, stay confident until the next time we see. Meanwhile, my book is out. Yeah, and that's so exciting. You can buy this on my website. You can buy it on Amazon. And it contains a lot of the tools and frameworks that worked for me. And I'm sharing that. And I hope that it blesses you too. Take care. Bye for now.